So finally, the time has come for my top 5 horror movies of 2020. So let me just preference this by saying this is my list. I invite everybody who's watching down in the comment section to leave your top 5 picks. Granted, I wanted to make it a top 5 to make it a little tougher. Top 5 only leaves 5 spots, obviously. So
listen carefully. You are now 5,000 miles from land, and you're descending 7 miles to the bottom of the ocean.
coming in at number 5 was the Kristen Stewart Underwater, which was a movie that came out earlier in the year. I think a lot of people slept on this, or a lot of people hated it. I thought it was great. I did watch a review the other day and someone wrote it on their worst list because they said it was boring. I don't really see how Underwater was boring at any particular moment. It pretty much was like a roller coaster ride of just action and horror elements. So I don't see how it could be boring. I thought it was really good. I kind of went in with a blind eye, not knowing too much about it. And I loved the journey that I had on this one. Underwater comes in at number 5. So number 4 for me was a movie that was kind of controversial when it first kind of got revealed of what it was. And then it just kind of subsided. It has that theme along with Underwater, where a lot of people kind of saw it. They didn't talk too much about it afterwards. And I'm not quite sure why. And that number 4 movie is
Sir, how about a glass of champagne?
Perfect.
The Hunt. I really enjoyed this movie. It was like a thrilling kind of Purge-esque, dark comedy elements. It just had everything in it. It had some action, it had some blowing up, some gore, spectacular fight scene near the end. I don't know what more you could have wanted in this type of movie. So number 4 goes to The Hunt. And keeping along with our theme of the movies, which looking at the list, there's a lot of movies just named the blank. I don't know what's the theme with that. Number 3 kind of surprised me because I didn't really, when I first watched it, I thought that was solid. That was really, really good. I didn't think it was best list, but then the more I kind of thought about it, the more it sat with me, the more I started watching reviews and just seeing how people were mentioning things about it and stuff.
When was the last time you spoke to her?
It's been a few weeks.
Gran? Mom?
And that makes number 3, The Relic. This movie, and I don't want to spoil too much about what happens in this movie, but the subject matter of it I thought was very touching. It was endearing, and that is something kind of bold to say for a horror movie. Most horror movies you think of, it's got to be scary, it's got to be gory, but this one was spooky, and yeah, it had some creepy stuff in it, but it was very touching, and it was weird. Towards the end, that ending scene, it just stuck with me all year long after I saw it. It was so, I don't know, it was so emotional, and that doesn't really ever really come across in a horror movie. So shocking. The Relic, check it out. Definitely worth a watch.
Whoever it was coming into the house.
And coming in at number 2, a movie that probably wouldn't have made my best of list if you think about it. When you really watch the movie, it's not anything special. It's not anything extravagant, but Shudder released a movie called Host, which I thought this movie was good. It wasn't best of list, but understanding how they did the movie and behind the scenes stuff and how they shot all their own stuff and then the editing and they had to do all the like ghost tricks and stuff like themselves and this was shot during COVID. It's probably one of the best movies as far as COVID movie goes. I've seen a handful of them. This is the best. Who would have thought like a Zoom called found footage type of horror movie with ghost elements in there would have been really that high on my list of best of for 2020 when we've had, you know, Invisible Man, we had Possessor, we had Swallowed, we had so many other movies that people put on their best of list. And Host, I think a lot of people were surprised just like me about this movie. It was really, really done. If you're looking for something spooky, you want to turn off the lights, you want to just sit back and watch something that's going to be kind of spooky, but really kind of fun to watch, definitely Host is the movie for that. Comes in at number 2. I really, really enjoyed it. And give us more releases like this, Shudder. Coming in at number 1, but before we get to number 1, I want to mention some of my honorable mentions. So The Invisible Man, obviously it's not number 1, it's not on my list, but it definitely would have been on there if there was a top 10 list. I really enjoyed the movie. I like the horror stuff of it. I like the character acting was fantastic. It's just, I don't know, when I thought about it, it was very just a basic cut and dry like horror movie. There wasn't anything that elevated it. It was just a really solid horror movie. And that's why it would have probably made the list at number 7 or number 8 if I did a top 10, but yeah. And also another movie coming to us from Dave Franco, directed The Rental, which was a surprising movie I didn't think I would like, but The Rental was absolutely like thrilling, and thrilling in the biggest aspect where it had you on the edge of your seat. I love movies like that where the characters are kind of hiding secrets and we don't know what's going on. And there's this mystery of, you know, it's stuff going to be revealed, how our character is going to react to that. And I love stuff like that. So this was like, you know, the icing on the cake and the cherry on the top when it comes to the thrilling elements like that. But it also had this really cool kind of horror-esque elements thrown in there too, which is not anything original, but it was done very well. A lot of people probably just didn't really care for it because they thought the first half of it was kind of bland and boring. I'll leave my review, you know, at the end of the video and clip up there so you can watch it if you want to see my full thoughts on it. But yeah, that would have been in my honorable mentions, The Rental. And without further ado, we are getting to number 1 on my list. I'm just going to preface this by saying, I don't know why most people seem to not have this on their list. I think a lot of people confused it or forgot about this movie. I was first given the info on this movie from Modern Horrors podcast. They talked about it, and this was like maybe 2 years ago. I looked it up, all the details on it. So last year, apparently it came out everywhere but the States. It didn't come out into November, I believe, of last year, of 2020. So a lot of people, for some reason, I guess, just didn't think about this movie or put it on their list. But number 1 for me is The Furies. Wow, this movie had every single thing you wanted in a horror movie for 2020. It had mystery, it had gore, it had slashers, it had this whole almost like a French horror type movie, but it's not French. But you can definitely see that kind of inspiration for it. And I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to explain what happens in the movie or the synopsis. Don't even read the synopsis, just go in blind, because it really does a great job of building the story elements and leaving you sort of in the mystery, but then they do kind of explain things a little bit later on in the movie, but you're kind of just thrust into this world and trying to figure things out. And it's kind of like combining everything that you kind of like in a horror movie. If you're a real big fan of slashers like Friday the 13th, Michael Myers, but you like French horror and you like survival elements and stuff like that, this has it all. It's like a buffet of horror. It's like if they just took all the great elements and threw them in a blender. This is what that movie is. The Furies, #1 for me. I can't rave about it enough. I'm surprised no one that I saw for top, horror movie list of 2020 had this on there. So I am shocked. It is my #1. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully I'll get to making my worst list, because that's probably going to be even harder of a list to put together than this one. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for support on the channel. If you like videos like these, make sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, all that jazz, and I will see you on another video very, very soon. And we should be probably doing a review on Bloody Hell. I was going to do a review on 10 Minutes to Midnight, but yeah, just it's not good. Don't watch it. But there's my review right there. But I'll mention more of that in the Bloody Hell review that will be coming very, very soon. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys. Peace out.